Who is ready to talk karma? I know it is a topic that a lot of people like to talk about, but the karma I'm about to dive into is the karma of the self and how you can deal with it. And that has to do with one particular placement. That is the South Node placement, particularly the Virgo. And this ties into the collective placement, not your natal. This ties into a collective message. Now, if you are someone who has a Virgo South Node natal placement, this energy is probably amplified or has been something very present in your life up until this point. So, if you have a Virgo South Node placement, no time like the present to take ownership of this, work with it so you can be free of the karmic loops that have not served you. So you can move through them, transmute them, and get to a place of forgiveness, not only of others, but of self, so that you can be free and start to utilize that energy towards rebuilding a new sense of self that is in greater alignment with who you are at your core essence. Karma is something that I feel a lot of people will talk about, but in a sense where it is a projection rather than information. And Virgo South Node really shines a light on where your karma is, how you need to move through it, and it gives you the opportunity to do so. Karma isn't just about forgiving, letting go, and then you're reset. That's it. There's more to it. You'll forgive, let go, and you become neutral ground. And then the universe will be like, okay, I'm going to give you the stuff you've been working through and see, are you truly changed? Have you truly taken to heart my guidance? And if not, that's okay. You just need to use it as information to support you in taking the next steps to continue moving through that karma so you can not be rid of it, but transmute it. Karma is a lesson that's always present, especially if you learn how to utilize it. It's something like forgive and forget, but not. Forgive, never forget. Restructure around that lesson. It's a lesson for a reason. It's there to change who you have been. And when it comes to Virgo South Node, the main theme that comes up time and time again is the theme of control through fear. And this Virgo South Node shadow essence actually ties in very readily with the masculine wound of emasculation. Now, you don't have to be a man to be emasculated. Basically, if anyone has forced their will upon you, that is emasculation. And there's many different ways in which people can do that. They can do that through aggression, through some type of physical initiation, or it can be done through covert measures, sneaky, manipulative, which is very present in our society. I think more so because physical violence obviously uh is not accepted. So, but instead of healing the root of that aggression, it just became a covert, manipulative essence. It still is the same thing. It's still violence and aggression and a forcing of oneself onto another through whatever means necessary. And you can see that in a lot of different areas within our society. And this is where Virgo South Node can be very beneficial because it can help you clear your blockages. Because When you clear your ties to this energy of Virgo South Node and you own your form of control that is generally associated with fear, which has been brought about from a society or lifestyles that have kept you in fight or flight. So, a very dysregulated, unsafe reality that has forced you to morph yourself, even if it's unhealthy, so that you can survive. And people can be rich and have businesses and quote unquote be socially doing well, but they're still unhealthy. They got there through dysregulated means that have not served the collective. And I'm going to talk about how this connects into a bunch of different astrology transitions that we've gone through. But I really want to focus on the Virgo South Node so I can really drive home this message. Because if you have received anything that was done through a forcing of will and not done through the means of trusting a higher power. And I feel this is very important because you can will things into being and it almost looks like you've had a higher power support you, but there may be times where things start to crumble and you realize, oh, well, crap. I wasn't doing that to my highest ability, I guess would be the word, or with my highest alignment. And that's okay. I want to say that's okay because a lot of us have not been taught how to do that. We have not been taught how to regulate our nervous systems. We are not taught how to be emotionally intelligent. We are not taught how to deal with that. We are taught survival. Survival of the fittest. That's literally such a term that is Virgo South Node, a shadow form. Because I think we always view Virgo South Node as the version, but it's really the essence of how do I maintain a lifestyle that will support me, but I can control every step and measure of it. Think of it as a micromanaging supervisor who doesn't give you any peace, doesn't give you any space, wants to regulate everything, and through that overregulation creates more dysregulation. Because Virgo South Node, its polarity is Pisces North Node. And Pisces North Node, when at its highest good, is the Christ consciousness. It's trusting, it's being in the moment. And being a Virgo South Node and learning this lesson my whole life, the biggest thing that came through for me was learning how to trust, even if you can't see a few feet ahead. It's like walking. If you've ever been in heavy mist, you know what this is like. You're walking, you can't see in front of you, but you're trusting that the path will always be in front of you as you step forward. That's learning to trust spirit. And with this crumbling of the end of the 9-year cycle, I think a lot of people felt this. It was a crumbling of the old and really forcing us to trust walking in faith. Because if we quote unquote have faith, but we're micromanaging every step of the way and not trusting, that does not foster true faith. So in addressing the control, the foundation of that control, being really honest about it, and addressing the fear tactics that were implemented to either achieve some form of survival, achieve some form of recognition, love, whatever it is, we have to be very honest. And when you get clear on the essence of where this fear and habits were formed, you then have an opportunity to view your karmic cycles from a new light. You can actually see, oh, I'm falling into fear. These are the emotions that are coming up. Oh, this is the reaction I'm used to doing. What if I do something different? And I know that breaking that loop can be more difficult than the process I'm sharing with you. I'm sharing with you the very basic mind frame that can support that change. But because so many of us have been in fight or flight, our nervous systems are completely dysregulated, and the collective trauma around this emasculation, this disrespect, and this need to control has really wounded a lot of people collectively and formed a lot of anger. And anger, if not addressed, becomes extremely toxic to the body. And it's really harmful, not only to yourself, but can be harmful to others around you. So, what happens is when Virgo South Node is activated, it will show you these cycles of karma that you are in. And it gives you the opportunity to move out of those cycles of forgiveness. And it gives you the opportunity to move out of those cycles into a new way of being. But that comes through the, I guess, the gateway of, or the bridge of forgiveness. Grace is the bridge that connects your old self to your new self. And grace is what helps you transcend karmic law. That's where you can get from point A to point B really quick, but you have to be a active participant. And there's a major astrology point that ties into this. I'll talk about that in another video. But when you are an active participant, you can be aware of I'm dysregulated, fears being activated. This is the emotion I'm feeling. And when you become aware, you can see, oh, I'm choosing to stay in an old form of thinking. I'm choosing a new way of being. And some of you might go through a few cycles before you get sick and tired of picking the same route and having the same repeat experiences, the same emotions, the same heartbreaks, the same struggle. And for some people, this may be harder to see, especially if your manipulation tactics and control tactics have somewhat been working for you. And I believe this is why a lot of people are talking about narcissistic collapse, because a lot of the people where this manipulation hasn't been working for them, they're exiting out. And when people exit out, they no longer are in alignment and they no longer accept that energy. So the narcissist who actually fed on this, and I want to be clear that narcissism is a wound, it's one formation of it. It then needs to be addressed. It's very similar to codependency, to people pleasing, and taking ownership of, okay, I was in agreement to this. I'm choosing to bow out because I no longer feel in alignment with this. I'm aware of how this hasn't been serving me. I'm aware of how I chose to be a part of it, which I know can be a big thing for people. Just stay with me. I can feel the energetic triggers. It's just because a lot of the times, especially if you've had terrible things done to you, you could say, I did not agree to this. The horrible thing is when you've had trauma done to you, that wounding can keep you in a loop where you then allow it to keep happening to you, especially as you get older. And that's the hard part. That's the part that makes me really sad. And that's where the conversation of where does respect need to begin and how does that need to be implemented, and how does the emasculation of respect create these habits that actually welcome in abuse, emotionally, physically, and mentally. Another video for another time. But when you become aware, you can choose to step out. You can choose to allow that Pisces energy, the Christ consciousness, that grace to come in and serve you, protect you, and shift you into what some would say is a new timeline, a new energy, a new way of being. And it's not like you forget this person. It's not like, oh, I'm a new person. I have nothing to do with, who I was then. No, you are transmuting it. You're taking the good and you're leaving the rest. It's like having a photo of the past. You know who that person was, you can tap into it, but you're choosing to have it as a reminder, not a definitive description of who you are. You can transmute it, you can move past it, and you get to set the boundaries and the new structures that will serve you versus when you were born or the household you were raised in or the relationships, how these structures were formed around a lot of societal needs, healthy or not, which then created a lot of dysregulation, because the essence of a shadow Virgo South Node is unhealthy control through fear. And this fear stems from them, and how that fear is projected could be malicious, could be hurtful, could be vindictive, could be passive aggressive. There's a lot of betrayal, a lot of heartache, just a lot of hurt, and a lot of lack of responsibility on the people who are inflicting it. So in stepping out of it, you are taking away the dumping ground for people to dump onto you. You're saying, I'm not partaking in this, and you're not affected by it. Like, you're human, you'll get angry, but it's not this continual state of anger. You can use anger as a signal to what's going on where your boundaries have been crossed, but it's not a consistent hum, which a lot of people in society have. And I know I definitely had that experience. So, in choosing to step away from it, I had to, I'm going to talk about my experience now so I can give you an example. I had to really take ownership of where I was playing into these cycles. And an example of this was when I had a bad relationship that ended. Sat there, got really angry, got really mad because of how I was treated. But the reality is I let that person into my life. And so at the end of it, I was like, okay, where do I need to heal so I don't allow this energy into my life? Because I let it happen, regardless of my spirit guides telling me, get out, don't be a part of this. I didn't listen. I was stubborn. And for whatever reason, I let it play out, even though it really hurt me. And so I had to be honest, and that's what really drove me to do a lot of this work. And when this was before the activation. So right after the Virgo South Node activation took place at the beginning of January 2025, I believe it was January 15th. I had already moved. I'd done all these steps to support me in starting anew. And I was really working on building a healthy foundation that wasn't built on codependency, because that's what that relationship brought it for me. Codependency, people pleasing. I looked at every aspect of my life and I was like, what other relationships do I have this in? I had it in my business. I had it in some family. I had it in friendships. And so I had to be really honest, and I had to be like, I need to get clear so I don't allow this in, because I want a healthy relationship. I deserve a healthy relationship. I'm more than worthy of a healthy relationship. I just need to set myself up for success. So I need to heal these wounds and address them and set up a lifestyle that will welcome in healthy relationships across the board, not only personally, but through friendships, through business, through community. And I know that that all begins in the self. So that kind of set the stage for this Virgo South Node activation within the collective. And a prime example of this is I took my savings and I took time away to build energy healing courses, which are now available for all of you. And there was one time where I was doing DoorDash and Instacart to supplement income. And there was one day I was doing Instacart. I got a ping, or I took a order, was at a grocery store, and you can tell when other people are doing Instacart or they're other shoppers. They're on their phone, they're scanning, and I remember this insane jealousy that came over me. I looked at this other shopper, he had a huge cart full of stuff, and I just instantly felt jealous. I felt competitive, And I started complaining internally. I was like, well, he has a bigger shopping cart. He must be making more money than me. I got super, woe is me. My energy, I could feel my vibration lowering. And my spirit guides were like, do not compare yourself, do not judge. And I sat there and I was at that teetering point where, like, when you can sit in your stuff or you can be like, okay, I'm not going to even go there. I chose to go there, and I sat there and I got all curmudgeony. I started complaining, and this is why I'm very adamant about being mindful of complaining, because complaining can call in karmic cycles. And after I was done complaining, I delivered, and then I went and got another delivery. Ended up having a big uh order, just probably like that other guy. I made less money on that order and I got no tip. It was the worst shopping experience. The person wanted me to replace this, replace that. Oh, I don't want this. It was a freaking nightmare. And after I delivered that, I sat there and I was like, do not judge, because you don't know what someone else is going through. That person might have had the same experience as me. So moving forward, I was like, I worked on comparing, judging, and feeling jealous, because I shouldn't feel that way, because there's more. And not that I shouldn't. I understand that, it takes muscle memory to build out of those old habits, and I want to say that, like, it takes repetitive experiences. So over the next week, I worked on being grateful. I worked on my gratitude, and I also did energy healing clearings to support depolarizing the stress that was created by these emotions, because for whatever reason they were still stuck in my body. And at this point, I had finished the Blueprint of Light. This is an energy healing program that I created that allows you to cleanse and clear your auric field. It helps you to cleanse and clear your chakra systems of both the masculine and feminine. And then it allows you to realign them so you have better synergy of the two energies moving through your body. So you are a clearer channel for your divine good, your divine purpose, and it just brings greater peace, ease, and harmony to your life. And I had just finished one round. It was all about clearing generational trauma and the collective energy from that I had absorbed up until that point. Very powerful. And in that course, it gives you collective emotions. So what I did is I scanned my body and asked, well, are these emotions tied into any of these energy systems? Do I need to cleanse and clear? Are there certain emotions? And when I scan, I always ask how many, what system are they in? And for me, I will always scan and ask, is it in the aura? Is it in the chakras? Is it in the meridians? Is it in the physical body? Or is it in the pathogens? And I do this because I know and understand that emotions can be stored in any of those systems. And if you're doing maintenance, it's interesting to see where they can lie. And I ended up cleansing and clearing the emotions. I worked through what I needed to work through, because obviously those emotions were mine. They weren't someone else's. I couldn't blame anybody else. And I kid you not, when I changed my mindset and I had a different experience and I did the work, I cleared the stagnant emotions, I cleared the polarity points, which cleared the heavy density from those emotions out of my system. And then I was able to see my reality from a different perspective. I was able to change my karma because I was able to forgive myself. A lot of the times, it's not about forgiving the other person, it's about forgiving ourselves and what we allowed into our life, and how it's amazing how much shame and anger we can have towards ourselves, especially if something is repetitive for a long time. If there's a karmic cycle that has been present, there's usually a lot of shame involved, which is hurtful and harmful to the self. So I went through this process, and a week later, I was at the same grocery store and I had an order that I was getting. I saw the same guy with the same amount in his shopping cart, and I sent him love. I did not send him any anger, any jealousy. I didn't project anything out on him. I sent him goodwill. I went on my way, and I heard my guide say, "You passed. You cleared your karma." It's amazing how quickly, in a week's time, it just reversed. But it's interesting how they will, if you had something that you didn't pass, they'll provide you with it again. And then it happened again with relationships. Like I had that bad relationship, and there were things that I did not learn from. I met this guy. We exchanged numbers. I was really excited because I was actually attracted to him. That doesn't happen very often. And he ended up dumping on me just like that last person I was with did. The way he just was so unaware, wouldn't listen. And I put down the boundaries. I said I couldn't see him and just cleansed the man's energy from my field, wished him well. And it wasn't me being malicious or like, oh, this guy's the problem. Like, oh, you're a terrible person. I was like, I know you're dysregulated. I understand that, but it's not okay for you to dump on me. I put down my boundaries. I put clear, um, you know, gave clear guidance. I pretty much told the guy that, you can ask me out on a date. I don't do texting, especially in the beginning, because I don't like having someone texting to me gives energy access right away. I think it's very opposite. I think you should start with talking, meeting in person, and then build to texting because energetically, someone can grab right into you, which I found is very disturbing to the energy field and can actually cause more harm and lead to greater manipulation. So the guy did not hear me. I told him, I was like, set a date. He kept texting me. He would text me at 4 in the morning when he'd wake up. He'd tell me how his day, he started dumping. And I'm like, okay. And then I gently reminded him, like, I'm at work. Like, if you want to ask me out, balls in your court. Second time. He did not hear me again. And I told him, I was like, look, I told you I don't text. I told you to 2 times to ask me out. I can't do this because you're not listening to me. I felt that anger come up. And my biggest thing is that disrespect, him not listening to me, him emasculating, him putting his will, even if it was unknown. I think a lot of people are super dysregulated. They're not taught how to use their nervous system, which leads to unhealthy habits. But that means they have to take ownership of their side of the street. And for me, it wasn't my job. And I'm like, yes, I want a relationship, but it's not worth it to me. And I don't want to have a intimate connection with this person who obviously out the gate is showing me disrespect. That's a no-go for me. And that to me was learning a lesson because I had allowed that every time up until that point. So corrected some karma there. And same thing, he brought, as I was going through that process, I healed the emotions that were coming up on my side. And it was interesting to see the emotions that he was projecting onto me. And it was just a big teacher of how energy can really be transferred and why at this point it's really crucial that we be active participants in our journey so we can see what is ours, we can see what is someone else's, and we can get really clear on how we can do our work, not someone else's, our work, which is very crucial. And this journey of saying, it was basically a whole year of saying no. No, I will not do this. No, I will not allow this. No, I'm not okay with this. But walking away from a place of love, I did my healing. And then my guides would be like, okay, you're done. We're going to take you out of the situation. That happened when I was working at a job. I found a job to help supplement my income. And I was working in an environment that was really toxic. And the manager I had micromanaged, but she was extremely passive aggressive and very volatile towards me. She tried to dim my light. She would undermine me. She wouldn't help me. Very, very toxic. And I understood it was coming from her own place of fear, her own woundings, but that's not my business. And also, it's not my job. And I'm trying to do a job well, and I'm not doing anything to harm you. You're projecting and essentially creating more chaos because when someone tries to over control, it actually creates a chaotic situation where chaos demons can thrive. And that's basically when that person has so much fear, it creates almost like an entity like thing that thrives, or an energetic parasite that thrives on other people's anger. And people who pretend, who come off as in control. They've learned how to house themselves within an environment where they're tolerable, or they are somehow they're tolerable, and they then thrive off of creating chaos, which angers other people. And I felt this anger. So I was like, okay, what healing do I need to do? Because I'm being triggered. So what can I do in this situation? Because if I can do as much healing as possible, maybe this situation will resolve itself. And my spirit guides were like, okay, we're going to do the whole blueprint of light, but around the healing of the feminine wound. And what came up was clearing the contract of no longer being in alignment with this anger that the feminine rage, healing it and finding a lot of peace. And my guides were like, we're taking you out of this situation because you no longer need to be there. You learned your lesson. And that took a lot of trust on me, because Virgo South Node isn't just about karma. It's about learning how to step into true faith. And I did not have any prospects of, I was still working on creating my courses. I did not have a I did not have income in place, and that was scary to me, and it didn't make any sense, and my guides were like, "Trust me." And I'm like, "Okay." But what did come out of that was I was able to quit cigarettes. I was able to finish all of these courses in a year, which is utterly unheard of. And then money fell into my lap through a settlement, which helped me get through the year. I was provided for. I trusted. But in that year, it also showed me how I had a lack of faith in money and income. And it took me on a deeper journey of working through that karma and seeing, okay, how can I heal those blueprints? And it's been a very beautiful journey of really navigating that. And as we enter into these astrology shifts of this year, which again I'll talk about in the next video, is it's all about the structures that are coming down, which will make room for a new way of being. But that is done through the communication, or the lack thereof, within the body. So when you take time to depolarize the stress tied to the Virgo South Node, it allows you to open up and cleanse and clear with greater ease. And I recently received a download on the collective points that are tied into the physical body that are associated with the Virgo South Node energy of the collective. And this is a very powerful energy healing point. It's something that is available to you now. There are three different ways. There are three different ways in which you can purchase this. One is you can purchase the Virgo South Node energy healing on its own. What you are getting is one frequency that you can listen to that helps depolarize the stress within the body. There are about 8 polarity pairs that were downloaded to me to utilize in cleansing and clearing this. Because if you have stagnant energy or holding patterns in your body, it will hinder your ability to release and let go with greater ease. So this energy healing frequency allows you to release that from your physical body so you can get clear on what needs to be cleared, what karmas are coming up, and how to do so with greater ease. You start getting those downloads. It's pretty powerful, and you can get it in my bio, or you can get it as a part of the astrology chakra connection. I'll explain more of this process in another video, in the third part of this little series, in regards to the Virgo South Node, because I received specific downloads on how to utilize this. It's very powerful, and I'll share that in another video, but you can get that as a addition. The astrology chakra connection teaches you how to cleanse and clear the astrology chakra connection supports you in cleansing and clearing blockages held within your natal chart. It supports you in cleansing and clearing blockages within the transits, and it also helps you to realign your masculine and feminine through the natal placements and the seasons that we go through each year. Very powerful stuff. I love this program because it's something that you can use over and over again to deepen your understanding of self. I know for myself, I'm going to start over the whole program. It's been a minute since I've gone and cleansed and cleared the natal placements of my chart. And I'm going to do that from the perspective I'm at now. Because when I started and received the downloads of that program, I was in a very different place. And so I just want to see where I'm at now and where I can learn more about myself. It's like reading a good book. You're going to learn something different each time because you are in a different place. It's really beautiful. I'm really excited about that. So, you can gain access to the Virgo South Node placement by purchasing the Astrology Chakra Connection, which is $150, or you can get an astrology calendar. I have one right here and I'm going to be unboxing it a little bit later. But you can purchase a calendar, which then will give you the Virgo South Node energy healing frequency for free. It gives you a PDF of all of the transits for this year so you can mark up your calendar however you see fit. And you also will get a $100 discount off of the Astrology Chakra Connection. So if you end up deciding you want to get the Astrology Chakra Connection and the calendar, you'll be paying roughly about $75 to $90 depending on what size you get, and that also includes the shipping. Those are a rough amount. So that is the cheapest way, and you'll be getting the most from it, especially you'll get in the calendar, the Astrology Chakra Connection, and the energy healing frequency. It's an amazing combo and something that I wanted to make available because there are so many amazing points to be aware of in this coming year. And I'm going to be sharing more and more about that on this YouTube page. And I'll be sharing what points are specifically going to be coming up in connection to this Virgo South Node energy so you can get the most of it. Again, another video to come. But I want to wrap this video, this part 1, up by saying that the Virgo South Node, most of its energy is stemmed in dysregulated nervous system. That is stemmed from a fight or flight that has been based in unhealthy survival means. And we are at a place in our society and collectively where a lot of us can finally hold space for that healing to happen, which is a beautiful thing. We just need to be aware of taking ownership of our stuff and not taking ownership of other people's, and also not projecting. It becomes a dance of really walking a fine line of, am I dumping or am I taking on other people's stuff? Where's the happy medium? Where do I need to set healthy boundaries? And where do I need to lean into trusting that I will be provided for? Because as you start asking the questions of, okay, am I doing this out of fear or is this coming out of love? If it's coming out of fear, where is this fear stemming from? And when you get clear on where it's stemming from and what emotions you're feeling and how these emotions have really dictated a lot of your life, you can then start moving out of the chronic cycles and toxic loops that no longer serve you through that channel of forgiveness, which then plops you into a whole new reality and essence of being. And there are many different tools and ways in which you can do this. I know for myself, I use the blueprint of light. It was the big vehicle that allowed me to get from point A to point B. I had tried a lot of other modalities, and I believe they supported me in understanding the need for this energy healing program. And it also has to do with the shift we just made not too long ago in conjunction with Pluto moving into Aquarius. Talk about that in the other video. But it's really getting clear on what's yours, how you can forgive and transmute that energy, and allow yourself to rise into a new state of being. But that takes a progression and it may take a little bit of time. But if you are mindful about it, if you are cleansing and clearing the polarity pairs, that will then allow you to clear out that energy with greater ease, and not necessarily clear it out, but transmute it so that energy can then go towards something productive rather than staying caught in a toxic loop, which is essentially a karmic loop. It allows you to break that chain so you can be free, and that energy can be free not only to fuel you, but to support greater harmony and greater alignment. And I know a lot of people want that. And I feel a lot of people are seeking that. And that ties into a big energy transit that just took place. I'll talk about that in another video. But there's a lot of things pointing to the need to release this control that was based in fear, that emasculated people around us so that we could feel safe. And the sad part about that is I realized a lot of people didn't mean to hurt one another, but it came from that fear. And it also came from, well, this happened to me, so I demand it of you, kind of like a bully system, but a little bit different. And it then takes you a step further and it makes you realize that that person does care for me, but because they are so caught in fear, it's warping the reality of how beneficial their motives are, which can be really hard for people to hear, which is why it's crucial for you to do your work. And for some of you, you may have to separate from certain people like family and friends that are really close so you can get clear on what's yours. And when you do come around, you can set healthy boundaries so they don't project, they don't dump. That's very, very crucial. And you can also set boundaries of how much you're going to allow into your life. Because if someone isn't willing to do the work, you got to realize that if they aren't willing to do that, they can dump their karma on you. And if you've done the work, you don't deserve that. And it also takes away from their their sole purpose in working through this. There's something beautiful in doing the work. So in you just focusing on yourself, it allows you to move into a higher state of love and compassion and empathy, but also from a place of sovereignty where you know what's yours, you know what isn't, and you can put healthy boundaries. And it's not done from a place of anger or resentment, but it's done from simply a place of saying, I'm sorry, I can't do that. And that's something that I never understood until now. And it's something that I believe is going to be very necessary, especially as we as a collective start to deprogram from this Virgo South Node energy that has been very deeply embedded into our society, especially in terms of manipulating others to get what we want. And those manipulation tactics can be seen across the society that we have today. And I know a lot of people are getting to a point where they want honesty, but if you want honesty, you have to look at yourself and be really honest. How have I been doing that? I don't want other people to treat me that way, but have I been doing the same thing? Most of the time you'll get a yes. And that's where the real work is. A lot of people want everyone else to do it so it makes their life easier, but they aren't willing to say, well, this is where I've used people. This is where I've been manipulative. This is where I was fearful. And this is where I was vindictive. This is where I was hateful. This is where I was jealous. This is where it becomes a journey of owning your shit, really owning it. And that can be a tough pill to swallow, but that is why I appreciate the support you get through the energy healing program of the Blueprint of Light because it helps you to clear it, own it, and really transmute the emotions. Because I think a lot of people get caught up on the intensity because when emotions are stagnant in your body, it will hold your body in place, which then creates an energetic tension that can't be released. So if you release the muscles associated with specific emotions, that relaxes the body, which then opens up your channels for greater release and ease. And depending on how deeply these karmas are embedded in your body, you may need to go through different systems to support that release. And that's why I love the Blueprint of Light because it starts with the outer layers of your aura, then it works into the chakras, and then it invites you, if you need to go deeper into the meridians, the physical body, and then into the pathogens. And in releasing your energetic system, it then frees up a lot of density that might be on your physical body. So you get a lot of benefits from moving through that. And I know there are many different modalities. You may not be called to that. I totally understand and respect that. I'm just sharing what has served me because I've tried a lot of different modalities and nothing really stuck. And the main reason why nothing stuck is because nothing, at least I have found, nothing truly supports the depolarization of the stress created by these addictive patterns, created by these emotions that have created these karmic cycles. And when you depolarize the stress, you can then easily step out of those karmic loops with greater ease because you are free from the essence that has kept you bound, which is the addiction to the emotion. And that addiction can be tied into the collective as well. And that's why it's important to cleanse and clear the aura because a lot of your soul contracts live there. A lot of your connections to the collective live in there. And a lot of your past lives and also your generational trauma is stored in there as well. So when you deprogram that or when you release that and allow a new reprogramming to happen, that's when you can get the shifts and the results you want with greater ease because that resistance is no longer in place. And this is really crucial, especially when it comes to cleansing and clearing the karmic cycles. Because if you are unaware of the addictions that you have to those emotions, truly seeing the full picture of the karma won't be possible. And if you can't see the full picture, you won't be able to understand what steps you need to take to move out of it. I know that might sound a little bit heavy, but if you have the proper support, it's actually pretty easy to do so. It just takes a little bit of time and a little bit of commitment. And for me, what I saw transform within a year's time was night and day. And I know with this being a year one, this is a perfect time to really recalibrate your energy system and get clear so you can get the most from a few of the different cycles that are starting at this time. There's a few different cycles that are taking place, and I'll talk about that in another video. But I really just wanted to share what karma is at its essence so you can understand it, so you can feel into it and just really get honest. Have I been doing this? Have I not? And if you haven't, it's okay. All it is information of, oh, I just need to do a little bit more work on this so I can move past it. That's all it is. And this is all about taking radical ownership of our stuff and really saying, am I choosing to stay stuck in this? And if I am, why? Because when you get clear on if you, and I think that's why a lot of people like to stay ignorant because they don't want to get clear on the why. Because if they were, they'd have to really own that they're not being the best person they could be. And there may be some people who are okay with it and they do it anyways because for whatever reason it benefits them. And that's why this narcissistic collapse is happening because a lot of people are moving out of this agreement. They are shifting away from it into a different energy. And the people who are willingly choosing to stay in these cycles because it benefits them, those are the people that are going to start feeling it because they can no longer dump it on any other person, and it's going to boomerang back on themselves faster and faster because there's no one else to turn to when it comes to dumping that energetically. And the best way to support yourself and not getting pulled into other people's stuff is doing your healing work, healing your auric field, healing your chakras, and realigning them so people can't pull you out of your center. Which I know for myself, people had very ready access to that. And in going through my healing work, I was able to clear out the wounds that were allowing people that access, that was keeping me stuck in those cycles. So I had to take radical ownership of my stuff, work through it. And it's interesting to see how I no longer get pulled into people's stuff. I'm no longer reactive. I can be empathetic, but I also have firm boundaries. It's something that I've never felt or thought I'd be able to have because of how sensitive I am. Not only just being an energy healer, but also being a neurodivergent, that definitely plays a big role in it. And at some point, I'll talk more about that. But I think for me, the fact that I am so grounded in this place really stems from just working through my karmas, taking ownership of them, taking ownership of my emotions, and then seeing how I could, where do I need to do my work? Just getting really curious and letting that grace in and trusting the process, because there have been moments where I'm like, God, are you sure? I hear that voice, trust it. I'm like, oh, I'm so uncomfortable, but okay, here we go. And I have been taken care of every step of the way, but it's really rubbing up against that Virgo South Node of wanting to feel safe. And I want to end on that because I think at the essence of this Virgo South Node wound, it just comes from a place of wanting to feel safe. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just how people have been forced to feel safe has come at a detriment to their soul, to their mind, body, and spirit. And we are at a place within our society where if you so choose, you can do so with greater ease because we are at a time where we can hold space for ourselves in a state that is safer than what a lot of other timelines have offered. And I know some people may disagree with that, but energetically, we are at a place where we have a lot of information, we have a lot of resources, and even though we're dysregulated, we may not feel safe. If we do the work, we can shift out of that. And it just takes a little bit of deprogramming. It takes having the right tools, and it takes putting up space and boundaries and realizing, well, I may have to shift some things around in order to get to this point, which again is taking radical ownership of your journey, which is very crucial. No longer can we dump, blame, shame, and all this stuff. It's really on us. And that starts with breaking the cycles of karma. And that starts with having a honest conversation of, am I aware of my karma? If not, how can I become? And where do I need to take ownership of my emotions so I don't project them onto others? And so I can transmute them into beneficial life force energy that will support my continued growth in this lifetime.